Hi, I'm Emily.
And I'm Stephen.
And this is In A Barbie World,
The podcast where we look at every Barbie movie from 1987 to the present day.
from fairy tales to literary classics.
From Mariposa to Mermaidia.
It's time to get unboxed,
Readjust your lippy
rock the ball gown.
and let's get our Barbie on.
It's a trilogy.
It is.
We're back. Barbie Fairytopia, Magic of the rainbow that we have heard about in every movie, the rainbow that seems incredibly important, that is within Alina, our main character, now has its own movie in theory.
Yeah. Back
Yeah.
to I can't even remember the name of the place. I want to call it Fairytopia, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I had a complete brain freeze then. Yes, back to Fairytopia for a third visit after the first time we did.
Peak.
Yeah, you really
movie
liked
gem.
the second one, didn't you? You liked
Oh my god, it was so
Mermaidia.
good.
And I had a horrible feeling this was going to be Godfather Part 3 of Barbie movies,
Is
That's
that
not- that's
is
not
Godfather
good.
Part 3 not good? Okay.
No. So
Or
yeah.
Spiderman 3.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I mean, Godfather Part 2, Godfather's good. Godfather 2 is fucking good. And Godfather 3, oh my god, he got his daughter in it. But there's saving grace. But yes, oh my god, like Spider-Man 3 with Topher Grace and
Yeah.
yes, that's what I was fearing. Obviously, we'll find out what happened as we continue this chat. But
Yes.
yeah, it was nice to be back again.
I hadn't thought about it. I was really pumped to return to Fairytopia. I was like, oh, which one have we got this week? Let's have a Google. Where we going? And then it was like Fairytopia, Magic of the Rainbow, and I was like, oh shit, yeah! Like, we're going back to Fairytopia. It's gonna be so good. And then I watched the movie.
Also, let's not spoil too soon. Same director as Princess and the Pauper.
Yeah.
There should have
What the
been
fuck?
things.
Should have been.
And I was back on stuck in my DVD from my box set bought from eBay, and yet another one that didn't work.
Oh,
Which I can quite clearly see the ones that don't work were really popular. I don't know what DVD player these people had, but it has destroyed any DVD they clearly love. Because Barbie Diaries has been the only one recently that's worked. So I ended up having to watch this one on YouTube at I don't know, 240p maybe.
Oof.
It was like watching normal telly without my glasses on. So I was already down a bit on it because
Yeah.
I mean I was lucky to find it on YouTube. Oh, and
Yeah.
it's not on Amazon to rent.
That's ridiculous.
It's like the first one I found that isn't it's just
It also
unavailable.
didn't have its own Wikipedia entry. It's very
No.
much like an afterthought of the Barbie movies.
It is,
I
although
nearly couldn't
it's in
find
the
it in my box set, but I did eventually.
it's got a weird title, I suppose, but it's in the standard February March. So basically, you tend to get 2 a year, one in September, one in February March. So it's in that world.
Bracket.
It should be. I mean, I can absolutely sense where you're coming to with this, but it should have been. It should have been absolutely fine at worst.
Should have been good.
So
It's 2007, and I guess Harry Potter's really, really popular. So Magic School is like the in thing that people want to do, I guess. So, Alina, we had a lovely reminder of what has previously happened. We remember the thrill and adventure and romance of Mermaidia and the heroism of Fairytopia 1. Laverna's a frog and, living it up in the like hinterlands or whatever they're called. And we were told by the narrator that Alina returns to the Magic Meadow to seemingly live a peaceful life with her friends. Little did she know a new adventure awaited. And I was like, let's fucking go, lads. Like, Lena's never let us down before. Let's do it. And Azura turns up, our old friend in blue, and she's like, you have been picked. to go and learn the rites of spring, which sounds like a dance from the Nutcracker, with a bunch of other apprentices, and you're gonna learn how to make the place not die.
Yeah, basically how to make spring appear. Meanwhile, Alina's a superstar. Right?
Oh my god, she's like a hardcore celeb.
All these little tiny fairies. Oh,
So
I forget what they were. We had this problem in the first film, didn't we? Where we suddenly realised the scaling was a bit weird. But they love her and they want her to tell her stories.
Oh my god! And like, do you remember how much they fucking couldn't stand her in the first movie?
Exactly.
And now they're all like, "Oh my gosh, it's Alina!" And I've literally, any day now, she'll drop a classic diss track for all the haters. And I took the liberty of writing one. I'm just going to dive into it. Because they always do. There's always, celebrities get famous and then they take a moment to look back and be like, you fucking were shit to me, so you can fuck off now. Jessie J did it, Ed Sheeran did it, like they've all done it. So I feel like Alina should have a concert to be like, you thought I sucked before I had wings, but I'm a hero and saved a bunch of things. You can't get enough. You're like, Alina, we heart you. Well, joke's on you, 'cause I'm flying straight past you. Haters, they're gonna hate till you're famous. Nah, I ain't got time. That's what she should do. But she doesn't. She's like, oh.
That's
I just like riffed
Swift
that.
in full effect there, my dear.
Thank you.
Ooh.
I genuinely cited her as an influence as I wrote this. I wrote it in about 75 seconds. And then I just made the tune up.
Haters gonna hate. Drop the mic. You told them, Pixies. Woo.
Yeah, because it's bullshit. It's like, oh, now I'm famous. You want to hear my story? Like, you clearly already know the story because, like, gossip fucking spreads in this place. I only just got back from Mermaidia where my girlfriend is. But whatever.
Yeah, where my girlfriend's with a man. Yeah, but don't worry, because this is all forgotten about in 20 seconds.
Yeah, literally, because Azura turns up and she's like,
off to Fairy Hogwarts to sort out something that's never been mentioned before.
Literally never been mentioned. And like the rainbow has been a running thing of being like a flicker in Alina's eye as to why she's like the chosen one or whatever. But there's no correlation to that here. It's just hey, we use the power of the rainbow to bring on spring. It's like something we have to do once a year, and if we don't do it, all of Fairytopia literally fucking dies. And I'm like, even for this franchise, that's a big ol' fucking, what do you call it, piece of bullshit. Like, that's just so convoluted and over the top that I was like,
it does introduce a concept of the Guardians are going to die one day and therefore they need these apprentices.
Well, I wondered if that was implied because they were like, and one day you shall take over from us. And I was like, when you retire, because surely all fairies are immortal.
Unless they're poisoned in the sea or something like that. Yeah, no, I got the sense that I was wondering if we were going to get one of those stories about, your pets dying and cycle of life and stuff like that, and that we might get to learn something in the third Barbie movie, and a kid that's grown up with it might now be old enough to understand about. This could have been the Watership Down.
This could have been the Watership Down. Instead, it was like shit Philosopher's Stone, because we get to Fairy Hogwarts and everyone is Draco Malfoy. Every single person we meet is shit.
Fucking all the other Guardians are such bad judges of character.
They really
it's surprising
are.
That this. Well, it's not a meritocracy, is it? I don't know what to call Barbie Society, Fairy Society, but it's very hierarchical and is full of people who make bad decisions.
Genuinely.
Because I think there's maybe one other that's vaguely nice.
There's like Glee, and I immediately I was like, oh, she must be the shit one, and that's why
and
she's
Blando.
Nice.
There's Blando as well.
Oh, and Blando with the nice eyes.
Yeah,
but everyone she meets has horrible designs. The moon fairy's wings are like moon shaped. They're like crescented. But I'm like, how do you fucking fly with that? It doesn't make any fucking sense.
In the wrong way there, crescented.
Yeah.
One of them flies. One of them flies with her hair.
With her hair! I hated that so much.
But what it is, so I wrote some notes down. It's obviously the animators have learnt this new thing about some kind of sort of textured hair, and her hair is made of it. And there's a few other instances of it around in the designs of other characters. That
Yeah.
it's clear they've got this design. But why would have? I mean, it's just the flaws in flying by your hair
Ugh,
are so
gross.
well. It's just fail all round, isn't it? It's just, I don't know. I just felt up to
Someone
now.
spent zero thought on that.
It's just, and we've never come across fairies before that are completely different. This is just a brand new thing. Yeah.
And they all are. We're suddenly introduced to this idea that there's a bunch of different like brand of fairy, and there's like a moon fairy that can tell the future, and a hair fairy that is like someone picked up a doll and flapped it about with bunches on and was like, that'll do. And there's like a sunburst fairy who's like a sparkle fairy who's a massive bitch. She's so horrible that it's not fun. Like, we just went tulip after tulip meeting these horrible characters, and I was like, fuck me. Like, who is the main antagonist of this movie? And Alina she's so nice that unfortunately in this movie it ends up that she's just apologizing for shit she hasn't even done. And you're like, fuck, how is this fun? How is this enjoyable? Like, she's just being taken advantage of.
And there's male fairy. Oh my god, there's that one who's like self-obsessed.
Oh, like a Narcissus man.
Yeah, and you just think, why was he picked? Now it comes a little bit clear later when the person who nominated him says something particularly dickish, and I thought, oh, I see. Male fairies are dicks. I get it now.
Yeah.
They are.
And then there's like Robin Hood who can speak to the animals, and like he's so boring.
Blando, yeah.
Oh God.
There are. Yeah, it's. I don't. The bitch one, I don't mind because obviously she's set up to be an antagonist, and it plays a part in the later story. It's why are the rest of them so awful?
So horrible. So horrible.
And if they're not awful, they're just vacuous. The one that tells the future.
Yeah, pointless.
And just says things like, "Oh, I don't know why I said that." I think, well, I think you do.
Yeah.
I think you know exactly why you said that because that's the thing. You make shitty, fairly vague predictions. That's what you do, and apparently that's what you all do. But we've never heard of you before. All we've heard of is fairies, different size fairies, and then sort of things that are like fairies that go in the sea. Obviously, remember that weird one.
Oh yeah, the like butterfly sea fairies.
But all up to now, the fairies have all been around flowers. They've been like flower fairies. So Dandelion and Buttercup and Alina. But now that there's these casts of fairy which are related to the Guardians, which wasn't mentioned in the first film. In fact, the Guardians. Specialness. The Guardians before, it's the difference of colour, wasn't it? If I remember rightly.
Yeah, and we assumed that the Guardians were from various different parts of the like Disney world that is Fairytopia.
Yeah.
But they're so obscurely different, and again, they're just I can't get over just how mean-spirited these characters are and how little enjoyment I got from that. I felt like I was back in the Barbie Diaries, and I expected it in Barbie Does Mean Girls, but I didn't want it in the final installment of the Barbie movie. And I have to say, my suspicions started to become... I started to really dread about what was coming up when Azura gets Alina in her peony and tells her what's about to happen. Bibble bites into a cupcake and his tooth becomes loose.
Oh, Azura pull, tooth out.
And it's like a whole thing. And I was like, are we so short on story ideas that Bibble losing a tooth is going to be a main plot point? And it is. It
is, and also he's like, particularly annoying in this. And
what?
Also, there's this whole thing which is going to come up later about if he's got baby teeth, that suggests to me where he is in his maturity cycle. which then doesn't balance out with something which is going to. We'll talk about it very
Oh my
shortly, I'm
God.
sure.
Yeah, I
but
can't wait. Just
can't
to
you?
mention that Max, is it? The fungus man from Mermaidia, the really good like Britishy villain that's evolved into like a slightly higher fungus, is
Leech
back.
fungus. Yep.
He's I put on my notes, hey, it's your boy. I was happy to see him, I genuinely was, and then he unfortunately gets, if these were real life people acting in a movie, I'd have been really gutted for this guy's actor, because he's just pushed to the hinterlands disguised as Laverna, because Laverna escapes as a toad, and he's disguised as her toad and is left in the thing, and it's like, oh
Yeah, because they bring him to the Crystal Palace. Obviously, as a British football fan, that just brings me a laugh every time we say it. But so he goes off to Selhurst Park, gets kicked off home for being a hooligan, and then gets turned into a Laverna frog to fool people, and plays no more part in the film, which is really weird.
Yeah.
You could not have had him.
Yeah, it's because we don't hear about anyone from Mermaidia and how they're doing. There's no tie-in to previous movies whatsoever.
Nothing.
Except for the villain.
Mermaidia in both 1 and 3 is given short fucking shrift. That is it part of Fairytopia, or is it just a completely different place? Is it the next country along, or is it like some underclass place? It's really weird how.
Yeah.
Like there's not even a guardian from Mermaidia.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and I appreciate. I don't know. There's something.
I don't know.
This all the other films.
Something fishy going on.
You can gently rip. Where this one made me quite angry. I'm glad
Yeah,
that you don't like it, because I got really angry.
I was watching it and I was like, "Fuck me! This cannot be the trilogy. Stop doing a Spider-Man 3. Stop it." Everyone sucks. It's not enjoyable. It feels like they're only doing it to jump on like some Harry Potter bandwagon, because Alina's gone on such grand adventures, and the idea of her coming in and doing such a small adventure, like going to fucking magic school, seems so ridiculous compared to what she's been up to previously. And that could have been quite fun, because there was a hint of it when she first meets Sunburst. And she's like, oh, here comes famous magical Alina, who saved all of Fairytopia. Oh, everybody look at me. I'm Alina, and I'm so wonderful, and you should all bow down to me. And she's like, I never said that. And she's like, oh, well, you never said it. Somebody said it for you. What's the difference? And this idea. But then why wouldn't you be grateful that she saved Fairytopia? Is it because you don't believe her? Is it because you're jealous? It's never fucking talked about. It's just like everyone knows who she is and they hate her for no reason.
Do you remember when you couldn't fly anymore? Do you remember that? You fuckers. Yeah, weird. And but there's more weirdness, because now they can all do magic. Right?
Yeah.
They can just do magic because they're told they can, right? So Alina suddenly has the power to do magic shit. That one might have been fucking useful in the last 2 films, don't you think?
A little bit.
It's like, you talk about Spider-Man 3, but it's like, what if in, I don't know, what's the third Batman film? The one with Bane in
Batman Forever.
Well, say the Batman whatever it is, right? That actually in the third film, it turns out he can fly. Because and it hasn't been brought up before, and it's naff. Yeah. And you're right, I hadn't drawn the Harry Potter analogy to it, but of course you're right. Lots of shows suddenly went down this sort of school for magic thing, because it's kind of a fun thing.
It's a fun concept, but I don't want it in Fairytopia. Do a whole other Barbie movie about magic school.
They're magic enough. They're magical creatures already.
Elena felt like she lost years of her age. Like, it felt like we were watching Barbie Diaries, and I was like, fuck, this is Alina, champion of fairies and mermaids alike. Like, fucking hell. And like, I'm happy to have Laverna as an ongoing thing to connect the movies together, and I liked her plan. Her plan was to dupe Alina, and then she disguised herself as Sunburst. Like, that was fun and all, but it just felt lost amongst this vacuous fucking plot. It felt padded, and the most paddiest thing is that we meet Glee, who is this like overdrawn ridiculously designed purple fairy covered in flowers for no reason, again with that weird knotted hairstyle that they all seem to have. And she's the only nice one. And she goes, "Oh my God, hi Alina, nice to meet you. Is that your puffball Bibble?" "Yes, it is." And I was like, don't do it. Don't do what I'm thinking.
We knew it was happening from a previous advert. We knew it was coming.
And then they did it, and sorry, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. They did it. She turned around and she went, "Fuck, what's its name? Like Pizzle Dizzle Dizzy Rascal."
I can't remember, and I can't look it up because, like you say, there's no Wikipedia page for us to reference, and I refuse to go to the Barbie wiki at the moment because I'm as angry as you are. But yes, our worst, because I think you've been all right on our little purple and turquoise friend up to now, whereas I've hated him.
Yeah.
But this really is the pits because there's two of them now. And
not only is there two of them, but they fucking did a Lego on it. They were like, this one is like, they all but gave it tits. Like, it's a girl Bibble. Can you tell? Here's its vagina. Like, it's ridiculous. It like, oh my God.
It's been bugging me that no other fairy had a puffball, because the way they talk about it as if it's her puffball makes it sound like it's something lots of people have, like a dog.
Yeah, like a demon from Northern Lights or something. Or
Yeah.
But like, oh my God, it's like a pink. It's called Dizzle. It's
That's
pink.
right.
It's got purple hair in a little shitty ponytail. It's got like cute fairy wings, like lacy wings, and like probably ballet shoes. Like, and she's like, "I'm going to insist that the puffballs become friends." I was like, why? You don't know anything about their race. Like, are they friendly to each other, or are they a singular race? Are they meant to be assigned to a fairy, or are they living in freedom somewhere?
Are they like
Who
hamsters?
are the puffballs?
Do they want to eat each other?
Yeah, who are these fucking puffballs? And then we have to go through this. Barbie is usually so good at exceeding your expectations and doing some cool stuff, and I thought they saved it all up for Laverna this episode. I think every fun, cool, different, subversive thing they did, they saved up for Laverna, because here it is the most vacuous, fucking stereotypical, like, they basically bump heads and they're all like, "Ah, no!" And then at one point the Dizzle sees Bibbles. She sees his like loose tooth, and I was like, oh good, maybe she's like gonna be freaked out and it's gonna be a whole thing, and then they're not gonna be able to talk again and I won't have to hear them exchange fucking minion language. And then no, she was like, "I guess and like jumped on him, and then like this fucking stupid fairy is like, "I think he likes her. I think she likes him too." And every time we have to go and see these two interact, there's this woman standing there going, "Aww." And it's like, what, do you want them to mate? Are you some sort of puffball farmer? Like, what is this?
Yeah, she does want them to mate. Yes,
it.
there is. It was everything I feared, and also, as I hinted before, they've got this thing that I'm sure he didn't do it before, but every character, there's a suffix of poo that it says. It goes, "Oh, Azira poo, Alina poo," and I'm sure it didn't do that before.
I thought that was meant to indicate some sort of like romantic attachment, because it was as they're saying goodnight, so it's like, "Good night, Bibble poo."
Yeah, but
good night, Bibble poo. And then it's meant to be like a chunky wonky Scooby Dooby fizzy wizzy.
But Bibble calls Azura poo, which is where I first noticed it. So unless there's some bestiality going on here, I don't know. But it was just dire, and it's like, I maybe Bibble's really popular, and maybe the world was crying out for him. I assume there's a doll or a plushie or something.
Oh, Jenny Nicholson, if you go to her Twitter page, here on the 25th of the 7th, 2021, she's been collecting all the different varieties of Bibble one can collect, and I think she's currently on about 12.
Jesus wept. I don't know. One of the things that we've got out of these films is that they can be quite subversive, and Barbie can be a role model, and the other films, yes, there have been animal mascots and things like that, but and some of them have been shit, like that polar bear. But
I don't even remember the polar bear. That's how good it was.
you remember the polar bear now, right? The one that
Who had the polar bear?
in the Pegasus film.
Oh shit! Yeah. Oh fuck that polar bear. Where it was called like Sneezy or something.
I don't remember its name, but it was a plot device for one moment. But with the sexy
Shiver.
horse,
That was it.
the sexy horses sort of made up for it.
Sexy
Anyway,
horse, yeah.
but Bibble is just so clearly a toy.
Yes.
And
Yes, a toy aimed at young girls.
Exactly. And he was, in a way, I'd rather he was the only Bibble. Now there's other ones.
Yeah.
And they're sexualised, like you say.
Oh my god.
Although losing their baby teeth is...
Yeah.
And again, I've put a human thing on that. I know, like sharks lose their teeth their entire lives, but I don't think Bibble's a shark. He's just a fucking legless flying.
Because what
bee.
replaces the baby teeth of Bibbles? Do they get fangs?
I didn't even know they had teeth. To be honest with you, this was a non-thing. What I will say is, don't feed your pets, any pets, cupcakes. Right? Just period. Right? No animal can eat a cupcake. People can barely stomach them. Don't give your fuzzballs type B diabetes. Jesus. Yeah, I hated it, but it's all right because there's other things I hate more in this film.
And it sort of ties into this tooth fairy thing where it's like, no one ever sees the tooth fairy, and you're like,
so I have written in my notes, tooth fairy is canon in Fairytopia. Yeah. So which guardian does the tooth fairy work for? Or is she again?
She doesn't even have a name. Azura was like, "You'll get a visit from my friend, the tooth fairy," and it's like, well, was she born and named the tooth fairy? Is she like a god entity?
Yeah.
Like,
so where does she sit in the hierarchy of fairydom?
Yeah.
Is it a special job?
Like a rogue?
And
Is it her
thinking,
job, or does she just do it for shits and gigs and everyone just sort of accepts it?
And then I started thinking, I know The Rock's been here already, but if Alina was a film where Alina was trained to be the tooth fairy, I'd probably be more interested in that.
Very much so.
Anyway, yeah, again, it's just these little ideas float around the edge of this movie, and you think, yeah, that's all right. Just wrapped up in these hideous characters, and it's not a quest. The other two movies had the quest format, where you travel around, you meet interesting, albeit sometimes occasionally really ugly characters. This one was you got somewhere. There was a dodgy walk that she had to get there, which was pointless. Dandelion bailed on her again, if you remember.
Pointless.
And now she's just with the most repulsive. 11 out of, well, maybe 10, 9 or 10 of the apprentices are repulsive. Now, when you put together a reality TV show, you've got to have some balance with the apprentices. You've got to have some that the audience are going to love, and some the audience are going to hate. It's the nature of the biz, and having so many of them, irredeemably horrible.
Be horrible, and the whole thing that they're working towards is this idea that they're going to work together to bring spring, and it's all about teamwork. And as they're describing it, I was like, these are the worst people that are going to be able to work as a team. And like they've only just started magic school. It's not been an ongoing thing that Alina's just been invited to. Like they all turned up at the same time, and yet we have lines like, "Ooh, Sunburst, I think Alina's competing to be top of the class." It's like, what class? We've had 5 minutes of our first class. How have you already decided who's the best? And why is somebody the best? You all need to work as a team and have equal power to bring spring. So why is there some sort of shitty hierarchy? Like, what the fuck? Why do you suck? You're a guardian. Alina fucking saved your fucking life. You were there when she, like, threw the thing at the thing and saved everyone. And yet you're acting like she's some unknown student who is like, "Oh, you need to get better at your control, Alina," though I will say that was quite impressive. It's like, hey, remember when I fucking rescued you? Remember when we were in that shit cave where you'd gotten yourself kidnapped?
Remember how good I am at throwing?
Do you remember that?
Do you remember how good I am at throwing? I don't need
so
your
good at throwing. I don't need to do shit all else.
And could you not have mentioned this fucking magic thing before that I can do? Oh, I can do stuff with water, can I? Could have been fucking useful in Mermaidia.
Back when I couldn't breathe underwater. Fuck.
It's
Like,
and you're right. The other thing is, there is no class here. There is no you're going to graduate top of your class. These 12 are here. They've been selected as the apprentices. They're all going to have to take part in the eventually. Obviously, things are accelerated because of the plot of the movie. But there's never any sense you could fail. You've just got to learn
yeah,
at
you
your
just
own
gotta learn
pace
it.
to be ready at some point to take over from your guardian. So
Yeah, there's no valedictorian. You're not going to have a graduating ceremony. I mean, they do have a graduating ceremony, which is
yeah,
bullshit. But
it's
yeah,
just weird. But that's we still haven't got to the bit which I despaired at the most. There's a new word. So they have a magic lesson where you're right, some shade is given, and then they learn something called flance.
oh my god.
And
I thought
flance.
I'd misheard it, and then she was like, "It is the act of dancing whilst flying," and I was like, "Someone thought long and hard about naming that, didn't they?"
Flance.
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 It sounds
You need to
like
do flance.
it doesn't
It's an
sound
important
like
part
what
of
they
the
wanted
ritual.
to. It's like what? And then they just have a game of
You need
Dance
to do the
Dance
flance.
Revolution, which may be a reference you're not going to get, but basically some coloured blocks appear in the air, and they just have to touch them at the right time. And I know you're a bit softer on the dancing things in these films than I am, but even you've got to admit that shit.
Yeah, it was shit. I didn't want it. I was like, I'm not down for flancing, and like there was a lot of glitter curtains in the background, and I really, I want to flance with somebody. It sounds like you want to like rip their skin off.
It sounds
I
like
wanna flance
some
you.
sexual perversion that only some people do, and I'm not going to use other words, but there's another one beginning with F that it sounds very. Oh no, it's just rubbish. It's dancing. They're just dancing, and they happen to be
It's so
fucking fairies who can fly.
bad.
And it's just a pointless word, and I'm glad it hasn't come into the lingua franca of the world.
Yeah.
What I am worried about is that you and I are going to talk about flancing for the next 30 films.
Yeah, I think I'm never gonna drop it ever again. It's there now.
Oh dear.
It like, man, yeah, it wasn't enjoyable. I didn't enjoy the dancing this time around because I was just like, where's the plot of this movie? And then the plot shows up in the form of Laverna as a toad. She manages to convince Alina, who literally manages to get into a fucking fight for no reason, which is very unlike her, to be able to learn this bullshit reversal spell, which she then does on Laverna, and Laverna's now Laverna, and then she's like, oh shit, Laverna's back, and they're like, no, she's not, look in the crystal ball, we can still see her in the hinterlands. And then Azura is like, well, we'll up security anyway. So it's like, why did we need to fucking look in the crystal ball to
Well,
like...
there's another thing. So the fairy who says that is the magic teacher fairy, isn't it? Is he the yellow guardian or whatever? I
Yeah.
can't remember. But he says something along the lines of, we've checked and Laverna and all the other exiles are where they should be. And I'm suddenly thinking like, what? Other exiles?
Yeah, I thought that.
What kind
I was
of
like, where's their
communist
movie?
Chinese Communist Party of China is this? Is that are there a whole bunch of fairies that are exiled from fairyland? Yes, we know why Laverna is. Laverna probably deserves to be exiled. But on what grounds have you
But
exiled
what did the
others?
Yeah, and why isn't this movie Laverna rounding up all of the other exiles and trying to take over Fairytopia, setting it in the meadow so we don't have to leave the meadow, we can stay in the meadow, and Laverna doing like a Disney Villains episode of House of Mouse and bringing all of these exiles, and it's like Dungeons and Dragons 3, the movie where the troupe of people are all villains, and it makes it more interesting. Like, why wasn't this that? Why wasn't the movie that? I want that. Give me a ragtag group of exiles led by Laverna descending on Fairytopia to try and take over.
Absolutely, like a Legion of Doom kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, just one of those things, just a little throwaway moment, as quite often I found in these films, would lead to a more if you want to do a good guys versus bad guys movie, Do that instead of this
Yeah.
nonsense.
This
'Cause-
convoluted, like, oh, the antagonist is Sunburst, who's just like a bit of a bitch, and then fuck, Laverna is back, who's like a genuine fucking threat. The Enchantress is fucking stupid. Like, how is she still in charge? Fucking hell.
she is the very. I mean, she's almost brain damaged. Is the Enchantress? I'm
Probably
sure
from
of
the
it.
coma from the first movie.
And again, there's an interesting story. What I'd rather have seen the Enchantress get mentally
Killed?
well, but maybe if she turned on them or something like that, that would have been more
Yeah,
fucking
if she'd
interesting.
have joined Laverna.
Yeah, her sister, because but instead, oh Jesus, come on, let's keep going.
Oh,
We're only about 25 minutes into the film. It's just oh.
So, like, Laverna's back, and it makes no difference saying, oh, she's back, because Azura believes her outright anyway, which I'm glad she does, but then why have this whole scene just to prove that Max is now disguised as Laverna in the hinterlands? And Laverna then kidnaps Sunburst and takes her place, and then they have to perform the rite of spring because all the guardians get knocked out. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, I can't even give you this rundown because I was like not paying attention. They all pass out, and that means that the apprentices have to do it, and they're all pissy at Alina because they're making her do what they were there to do anyway. And
I mean,
it was super stressful.
I kind of. Alina does eventually give them a reason to be pissy at them. She does release Laverna, and I think that would annoy me. Yes, she should have a lot of credit in the bank, even if they don't know about the Mermaidia thing. Like, they should know about the first film, and they should give her some credit. But she is. I just don't understand why she's become such a fucking. Why she's regressed.
Yeah.
I mean, she's had her flaws before, just lusting after her wings and things like that. But she's come past that. Why has she become class dunce? Why is her good nature used against her here? Why is no one listening to her? And also, I'm going to put a lot of the blame at fucking Azura's door, because Azura is always doing this to bloody Barbie. Sorry, Alina. She's I like Azura a lot. She's my favourite fairy godmother type, but she's a useless.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Why didn't we
useless.
have this film as an opportunity to meet the other Guardians and get to know what they're like? We only really meet one other Guardian. Like,
Absolutely,
why is there no reference to the fact that we've met them before? Why do we act like the previous two movies haven't happened? Why does this movie suck? Whose fault is it?
And I think it's the fault of overstretching the franchise without having a strong story. I think they were desperate to get another. Fairytopia had obviously been really successful.
Yeah,
right?
Understandably so.
And it's a successful toy line. Mermaidia has only probably increased that. It makes sense to make a third movie. They've obviously had the year to make it. They must have two teams working on these things, yeah? So you can get two movies out a year. It's down to the writing.
It is.
It's absolutely down to the writing. And I'm so happy you didn't like it.
Yeah, same.
Because,
I was like, if you like this, I don't know that we can go on.
I know. I was thinking, like, can I fake being vaguely optimistic about it?
Yeah.
Because I didn't think I can. Because all I've got, my notes are horrible, not gentle poking fun.
Yeah.
I'll poke at something silly, but I'll be genuinely impressed by things that genuinely impress me. And my notes are and they get darker and darker about what's going on.
Yeah.
And yet, I do feel the bit that does work is when Laverna is now Sunburst.
Yes.
I think that is the one. Laverna is the one thing in this film that works.
100%. Her plan is good. It's clever. It's fun. It's imaginative. I like how the character of Sunburst 180s, and yet no one else seems to find that suspicious. And Alina isn't instantly like, well, that must be Laverna, because why is she suddenly being nice to me?
Because I know I freed her.
Yeah.
I know she's about, and
Yeah.
we literally were trying to guard against her. Yeah, why no one else notices either? Because it does also seem that all the other apprentices seem to know each other.
Yeah.
Alina, for some reason, and maybe it's because Alina didn't have wings before, so she hasn't. There is a suggestion she's been a bit of an outcast. She's never left the fairy meadow, whatever it's called,
Yeah.
meadowlands, wherever she lives. So maybe she hasn't been exposed to the wider. Maybe she didn't go to the fairy Deb's ball. I don't know, but
Yeah.
maybe she just hasn't met these other people before, where other fairies, because they can fly and go further. Maybe they've crossed paths, but she just seems utterly ignorant. She's late. Like, again,
Mm.
Azura, give her some fucking time to get there.
Give her some time to get there and show her where her fucking room is.
I know,
Like, what
that's
the
just
fuck?
rude. You don't turn up at Travelodge
Drop
and
her
guess.
off.
You don't turn up and guess where my room is. Excuse me, is this my room? No, fuck off. This is my room. Is this my
Yeah.
room? No wonder they're so.
Yeah.
Azura, you are not a great guardian.
It's really poor planning on everyone's part, and like, I feel like Azura wanted Laverna to do something. Do you know what I mean? She's just like, she
Do you
just
think?
doesn't give a shit.
Do you think Azura is desperately trying to undermine the guardian woman, the woman in charge, the enchantress? That's her stupid name.
Yeah,
And
maybe.
maybe this is saying, I know the kids will win. Alina's here. We can step in if we have to.
Why
Let's
do we
let
have an enchantress if we have guardians? What does the enchantress do? Every time we've needed help, or to understand something, or to learn something, or to better ourselves, or to progress, we go to the guardians. The enchantress shows up to just be fucking pointless. And she shows up when all the guardians are passed out, and she's like, I guess you, like, 12-year-olds are going to have to perform the Rite of Spring now. Don't fuck it up or we'll all die. And it's like, sorry, you're the fucking enchantress. You do it.
Yeah.
You
So
do it alone. Why can't you do that? Deus Ex Enchantress. Like, what the
and
fuck point is
just,
you?
let's just talk about this Rite of Spring. I think they're suggesting it happens in my head every 10 years, but I don't know.
I that rings a bell to me as well. Yeah, it's not a
So
frequent thing.
So basically, spring happens every year. It's down to the rotation of the Earth and its rotation around the Sun. It doesn't happen every 10 years. This isn't a George R. R. Martin thing. I don't really, and again, I am assuming it's in our world, but Barbie is. Anyway, that's 10. Basically, what they're saying is if they don't perform this magical dance, some magical flower won't
Yeah,
sprout.
the flower will get mouldy.
Yeah, that's right. It gets mouldy, and we'll have 10 years of winter. Now, Laverna, got to say, love, do you want to be the leader of presiding over a decade of misery and winter? But I guess if you're immortal, or maybe you could suffer 10 years up front to get the power. I don't know. Laverna's plan, at least as a plan, don't get me wrong. I'm not sure she's thought
Yeah,
it through to its end, but it's a point because at the moment she's just spent an indeterminate amount of time as a frog. She's exiled. She's gone for the big prize. The big prize is here. All right. So the question to you is: would you rather be queen or frozen Britain, or not queen at all? And all right, I'll take Queen of Frozen Britain's probably what she. Well, not that it is Britain, but you know what I mean. Um, but this is weird. Like, why would never been mentioned before? Like in the first film. Oh my God, Laverna, you've got to remember, you've got to do the Rite of Spring because that's a thing that we're here for. They
yeah,
finally, they've finally given themselves purpose. That would have been, I don't know, just I hate shit like this in any
yeah.
film. Rights
It,
and things like that make something happen.
yeah. It feels like what I think we were expecting from Barbie movies.
Mm,
This is living up to its name. The others have all exceeded and done really exceptional stuff and been really fun. This is like what I think if someone said, do you want to watch a Barbie movie? I'd be like, no, because it'll probably be like this. And this is what this is.
mm.
It just... I don't understand the rite of spring. I don't know why they gather everyone with like a week before you're meant to do the ritual anyway. Like, why didn't you save training? Why don't you do the rite this year and then we'll start training next year? So we got 10 years to train them up. Why did you get them all in when it needs to be done in the next, like, 45 minutes?
Well, the idea is that they were just going to have it observed, weren't they? And I guess they were going to spend the next 10 years being apprentices or something like that.
And, like, what was Laverna's plan? To kill Alina or to take over or ruin the planet that she also lives on? Why does she want the plant to go mouldy?
Well, because apparently that... Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Eternal
or just for 10
shitness.
years?
I don't know.
It's
Why does
weird.
it need... Yeah, I don't... She almost didn't need to hurt the flower. She was on track to, like, rule, because she was like, hey, Sister Enchantress, I will spare your stupid flower if you step into this bubble of prison. And the Enchantress is like, I will 100% do that, no questions asked. And you're like, that was fucking easy. Like, no wonder you need the Guardians, the Body Guardians more like, to make sure the Enchantress doesn't fucking do some stupid shit which is immediately incapacitated, which is apparently what she always does. And Laverna knows that, so she's probably super pissy because she's like, how the fuck is this idiot in charge? And who knows, reign under Laverna might have been really nice.
Well, shit would be going down. Well, I guess it'd be like Trump's America, you know. At least it'd be newsworthy every day. I was just having a look. I've blamed the writing. Same writer for Fairytopia, Mermaidia, and this.
What?
Lady called Elise Allen. Elise. And she writes quite a lot of them moving forward. How could you have gone from, Mermaidia? I know you love that film. And I really liked it. How could you, in a year, have just... I think you've rushed. I think it's been rushed.
Yeah, you've rushed it, Elise. It's best. It happens to the best of us. Like, really gutted for you, because... And I wonder how much... influence from the studio you'd have had. Are you given, like, plot points that you need to hit to ensure that dolls come out? Why introduced Blando if you're gonna, like, not... I was like, oh, so is he gonna be the love interest? And there's still no love interest, which I'm happy about because she's got a girlfriend now, but I'm also like, why have we taken the time to meet him outside of everybody else and see that he's different from the others to then not do anything with it? And I'm not saying I wanted to hook up with someone. I'm just saying stop introducing weird Ken characters and then not doing anything with them.
But this one ends in a really weird place in regards to that.
Yeah.
a really... Let's in the last moment exchange glances and offer up the hope of something in the future.
Literally.
that is never going to go anywhere because there's never going to be a fourth movie. And then repeat it with Bibble and Plibble, whatever they're called.
Oh my god.
It's weird. Do you know the most shocking thing about this film?
What?
It won loads of awards. It's
what?
Like, it's the it's won loads of Leo awards, which I think are like animated film awards. Yeah, it's got nominated for best sound, best animation program or series, best direction and storyboarding, outstanding achievement in music. It's a daytime Emmy.
Do you think it's like how Leonardo DiCaprio got it for The Revenant, but he should have got it for something else? Like it's like your time. It's like time to award you.
It got nommed for a daytime Emmy.
Oh my fucking god!
It's the most.
Do you think they're just awarding like the Barbie movies, and it just so happened that this was the one that came out the year that they finally were able to break through and get nominated? And really, it's an Oscar for like previous work, but it just so happens that you're being given it for this
That
thing.
like Martin Scorsese in The Departed. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
hoping it is, but it's a really it's just so ridiculously disappointing.
It's so
Although
disappointing.
what I will say is, oh, that's just weird. So I'm looking at the dolls
Yeah, oh yeah.
that came out. So the Alina doll has got her spoilers wings at the end.
Yeah.
And then they've done an African American Alina doll, which is a
They-
bit weird. I don't
Yeah,
have a
they
problem
do that for all of them. There's like a black version of most of the dolls.
This one isn't black. She's just Victoria Beckham coloured. Um,
Oh.
I mean, I don't know. There's a Shimmer doll, which looks like a brat. Lumina, that's that awful one of the moon one. I don't mind. Lumina's wings were the other way round, should be alright. And Glee looks like she's in the Levelers. Again, a reference you might not get, but
Nope, don't get that.
she looks like she's a Krusty, a sort of a hippie that's let her hair just go and letting the natural oils take off. The Sunburst doll looks like a stripper.
Oh my god, yeah, she does.
Um,
Jesus, Sunburst. Put some tights on. I
Just-
mean, you do you, boo, but like...
yeah, no, she looks like a stripper because of that stupid hair stuff going on. Yeah, this is just all round weird. Everything about this, because yeah, it's. But the fact that it's regarded highly in the industry, and I didn't really get the feeling it was particularly spectacular in terms of animation.
No, it felt worse. Like, it felt like they'd gone backwards.
And I thought, well, maybe it's because I'm watching it in 240p on YouTube, because maybe in digital DVD it looks fantastic, but
No,
and it just and there's just like nothing. The Crystal Palace should be this amazing
Yeah, it should be a
thing.
cool play set, but it was like some weird bulbous plants hanging from the ceiling and a bunch of like grass with some water next to it. Where's my actual Crystal Palace?
And the sort of the final thing where they do the luminescence or whatever it's called in the magic, it's against like this sort of opaque pink background. It's just
It felt
bland. Cheap. It's bland and unspectacular. And yeah, it's
very disappointing.
God, what is that? I'm sorry, I'm really distracted now by Lumina's dorm room. Okay, that's the place. Why has Lumina got all the toys?
Was she a fan favourite, do you think? Because in theory, she's cool. She can see the future. She's like a moon fairy. She's got rad tattoos and like these weird crescenty wings. But also, she didn't fucking do anything.
Oh, and also there's a goof. Some of the goofs just like stuff. But Tourmaline and Topaz are orange and yellow. In the first film, they're yellow and orange. They changed the colours of 2 of the 12 characters. Oh my god! I mean, I didn't notice that because I'm not a super fan. And yes, and apparently Lumina and Fabian also swap colours during the film.
Oh my god!
So, which just calls to a lack of
care, focus.
and focus. Yeah, I mean, but goofs are allowed. I think goofs in animated movies are
inevitable. Almost.
They are, but colouring errors, I suggest, aren't. There should be enough people working on that to sort that out. You could drop some frames in this, where you move a story around or something like that. You could have a continuity error, but not like that. Yeah, just disappointing. Are we done with this film? I feel like we're just dumping on it.
Shoot some rainbows into the sky. I think Laverna explodes. I
don't
know.
No, Laverna fucking explodes. Sorry, yeah. Laverna is dealt with quite. No more exiles.
Yeah, no more fucking cuckoo clocks and eternal servitude.
This is death for Laverna. I think they might suggest something along the lines of she could come back, but no, Laverna is gone. And then there's this just awkward goodbye
Oh my god,
where
it's so awkward.
even the ones
they
who
like
says
go
have
down the
been
line
quite
and everyone's
bitchy.
like, "Goodbye, Alina. I don't know why you're the first to leave, but we're all gonna stand on this balcony and wave you goodbye as you go back to
Why?
your fucking meadow
Why?
again."
You got somewhere to be?
Yeah,
Yeah. But where have you got to be? Back to Peony? Because you're with Bibble.
yeah.
Dandelion's going to
Back
dump
to
you at the first fucking
yeah.
chance again.
Dandelion will be like, "Fuck, Alina's back."
Why wouldn't you stay and talk to Blando?
Yeah,
If you're going to share glances, oh, there's a magic there.
it's
Why
so
would you leave them?
weird.
And your last one here, first to go. That talks to me.
Yeah,
She's fun at parties, isn't she?
yeah.
Yeah, weird. Just weird. And none of them really apologise for being dicks. None of them.
No.
No. Who's the one? Who's the big bitch that got replaced? Sunburst. She
Yeah.
kind of
No,
says it
there's a
without.
ridiculous exchange where it's like,
Yeah.
how did you know Laverna was... How did you know I wasn't me and that I was Laverna? Well, it's easy. You were being nice to me.
And,
It's like, do we not want to address that?
well,
She's just like, hilarious. True fact. Anyway, go die, you fucking bitch. I hate you.
I kind of like. I did kind of like that though. That Sunburst didn't have a magical character. She is genuinely just a bitch, right?
She's just a horrible person.
and I like that they didn't fix her. The others, though, I think there's no real attempt.
There's no growth. Narcissus is still like
In love with himself.
I'm sure, like it's Prince Charming from Shrek 2. It's really boring. It's a really boring character.
And did not play at all into the plot. That's the problem.
No.
The Moon Fairy said some vague predictions about stuff. Not one
Which
of
I was
the
trying
others.
to think at the end, like, did that come true? I can't even fucking remember them. It felt
Yeah,
so unimportant at the time.
I think they did sort of, if you stretch a bit. But none of the others' personality or fairy traits played. This comes to the root of it, right? They've all got a certain power or a certain something about them that uniquely mean. The Moon Fairy can read the future. I don't know. The Hair Fairy can just have a giant fucking head. I don't know. But they don't. It doesn't matter. Their differences make no difference. When they're having the final flance, they're all the same. Now that could be a message in and of itself, but I don't think that's the point. The point is, if you have like the Justice League, and you want Superman and Wonder Woman to have slightly different powers, and Batman and Flash, they're all different. They don't all at the end suddenly just start flying around and punching stuff. The Flash keeps on running, and that's his thing. And I wanted more from that. I don't think this film wasn't without potential.
Yeah, but as usual.
And they've already shown, they did the 12 princesses. We can do the 12 fairies.
Yeah.
And nothing came of anything. I do. A bit of me does quite like that Sunburst is still a bitch. And knows it as well. And you can imagine some kind of friendship growing from that point, and that there would be some growth moving forward.
I was just getting really tired of everyone just being so horrible. I was like, this isn't fun. I'm a 6-year-old girl child, and I don't find this fun. Like.
Yeah, no, and especially, we've had such a great run.
Yeah.
This wasn't the film I was expecting it to screech and die on. It's the end of phase 2. So looking at how the movies are usually put together, this is normally considered the end of phase 2, and that phase 3 begins next. Even though this is the end of Alina. Although she does, I don't want to spoil you where she comes back, but I think you can work it out.
Yep.
Which she'll come back as part of a framing mechanism, and so does Bibble. But yeah, these 3 movies down the road, and it's a shame because two of them have been surprisingly 2 of the best. And I don't think when I looked at it, I would have expected that.
Yeah.
They felt the most
out of sorts.
Well, the most money grabby. Barbies with wings. Let's go down to Mattel's bank account.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Barbie's Rapunzel's one, the fairy story ones probably aren't as obviously money grabby.
Yeah.
But once you start sticking wings in the back of your dolls and all that, you can double sell and things like that. But yeah, I don't know. It's hugely disappointing.
It's so Mermaidia is at number 2, Fairytopia is at number 4. Barbie,
So
Fairytopia, Magic of the Rainbow. Fuck me, like. I'm going to say it. Barbie and the Nutcracker was better than this. And I don't know if I'm just butthurt from being really disappointed by Barbie Fairytopia ending in this really disappointingly shit way. But I want to push it right down to number 9. Is that too harsh?
No, because obviously I've maybe given the Barbie Diaries slightly higher than it deserves. But in a world with 12 dancing princesses, which wasn't bad, is stuck at halfway down at number 6. This should be this not this. I might go even worse.
At least she had a spaceship and it was pink.
In and of itself,
We did like a Back to the Future thing. It was fun. Now I think about it.
in and of itself, this is a better movie than the Barbie and the Rockers and Barbie and the thingies, right? But because it's part of a trilogy, because it's so fucking disappointing,
It's so disappointing.
I propose to you. I'm not proposing to you. Don't worry, shippers. I propose to you that it's the bottom of our list.
That would make it number 11.
It would make it number 11.
Oh, that feels so harsh, but at the same time, I fucking hated Bibble and Drizzle. I hated the Guardians. I hated all of the mean-spirited characters. I hated that Laverna was trapped in such a bad movie. I was so disappointed coming off the high of Mermaidia. It hurt us deep, man. I think it's really hurt us deep. And I think that's why we're being so harsh.
Barbie and the Rockers had some good tunes.
It did.
And we do know it means a lot to a certain age of American female, at least. Now, we've both come across people who have suggested that was a really important couple of films to them growing up, right? No one surely is going to say this is their favourite Barbie film, their favourite Fairytopia film.
Can't be.
And it feels harsh, but I do think I'd rather spend 40 minutes watching the two Barbie and the Rockers things than another hour and a half watching this one.
Yeah. Oh my god. Wow. I mean, it was a long time coming, and I mean like a long time coming.
I mean, up to now, we've been squeezing favourite children into the same
the top
room.
5.
Yeah, and it's been really hard, and and it's sad to see some of them as low as they are.
Yeah.
Barbie's Rapunzel was good. It's number 8.
Out of 11.
Out of 11. Yeah. This, I'm sorry. For me, this is number 11.
Okay, I'm gonna. Oh, it's done. I put 11 next to it on my Excel document.
It's not Excel. It's
Google Doc.
But yeah, whatever.
It's in little cube things like Excel.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. Though it just didn't cut it. It just didn't. All of these characters were really badly treated, and there was no story. Bibble losing a fucking tooth was all they could come up with as like a subplot. And
then Drizzle, or whatever her name is, lost her tooth at the end. Again, by the way, kids, the other thing is that's not how teeth work. Jesus, you won't lose a tooth by eating a cupcake. You lose a tooth because you eat cupcakes. Well, actually, Jesus. I fucking hope the next one's better.
Well, it's a big one on Instagram. A lot of people have a lot of time for Barbie as the Island Princess. It's coming up next. I feel like we're gonna have another array of like terrifying animal eyelash hybrids. which I'm quite excited for. She's a princess, which I think is going to be fun. But who's to say? This was so disappointing, and it's the same writer, so maybe she's just lost her magic.
Oh, I don't know. There's outtakes in the next one. I'm bold. And it's a musical, the next one.
Oh, fuck. So maybe we are reaching back up to the heights of The Princess and the Pauper. And
I mean,
this was just a blip.
It is, but it was incredibly disappointing. And, you know, spoilers, dear audience. Now, me and Emily don't really talk about this, do we, before? But we try and keep our feelings away from it. So there's always a risk we're gonna turn on a movie in different directions. But I think the fact we both disliked it is a good thing. But that's our worst movie so far. Hopefully our audience haven't been by our swearing and our anger. But they did get a song, so you know.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Swing roundabouts.
It's quite emotional.
It is. It is. But in a way, I'm glad because. It was getting really hard to say, well, this one's 1/20th of a point better than that one.
Yeah. So join us again for Barbie as the Island Princess.